The Molniya R-60 is a short-range, lightweight infrared homing air-to-air missile designed for use by Soviet fighter aircraft. It has been widely exported, and remains in service with the CIS and many other nations. History: the R-60 was initially developed for the MiG-23. Work began on the weapon under the Bureau designation K-60 in the late 1960s. Series production began in 1973. It entered service with the designation R-60. When introduced, the R-60 was one of the world's lightest air-to-air missiles, with a launch weight of 44 kilograms. It has infrared guidance, with an uncooled Kamasica head. Control is by forward rudders with large rear fins. The distinctive canards on the nose, known as destabilizers, serve to improve the rudder's efficiency at high angles of attack. The R-60 uses a small, 3 kg tungsten expanding rod surrounding a high-explosive fragmentation warhead. Two different types of proximity fuse can be fitted. The standard Strige optical fuse, which can be replaced with a Colibri active radar fuse. Missiles equipped with the latter fuse were designated R-60K. According to Russian sources, practical engagement range is about 4,000 meters, although broadshear range is 8 kilometers at high altitude. The weapon was up until recently one of the most agile air-to-air missiles, and can be used by aircraft maneuvering at up to 9 grams against targets maneuvering at up to 8 grams. A tactical advantage is the short minimum range of only 300 meters. Soviet practice was to manufacture most air-to-air missiles with interchangeable IR homer and semi-active radar homing seekers. However, a SARH version of the R-60 was never contemplated due to the small size of the missile, which makes the radar homing version with an antenna of reasonable size impractical. An inert training version, alternatively designated UZ-62 and UZ-R-60, was also built. An upgraded version, the R-60M, using a nitrogen-cooled seeker with an expanded view angle of plus or minus 20 degrees, was introduced around 1982. Although its seeker is more sensitive than its predecessor, the R-60M has only limited all-aspect capability. Minimum engagement range was further reduced to only 200 meters. The proximity fuses had improved resistance to ECM, although both optical and radar fuses remained available. The R-60M is 42 mm longer, and has a heavier, 3.5 kg continuous rod warhead, increasing launch weight to 45 kg. In some versions the warhead is apparently laced with about 1.6 kg of depleted uranium to increase the penetrating power of the warhead. The inert training version of the R-60M was the R-60MU. Since 1999, a modified version of the weapon has been used as a surface-to-air missile as part of the Yugoslav M55A3B1 towed anti-aircraft artillery system. It has also been seen carried on a twin-rail mount on a modified M53-59 Praga armored SPAAG of Czechoslovakian origin. These missiles have been modified with the addition of a first-stage booster motor, with the missile's own motor becoming the sustainer. This was done in lieu of modifying the missile's motor for ground launch, as in the case of the US MIM-72 Chaparral. The current Russian dogfight missile is the Vympel R-73, but large numbers of R-60 missiles remain in service. Operational history: Soviet Union. On the 20th of April 1978, two R-60 missiles were fired at Korean Airlines Flight 902 after a navigational error had caused it to fly into Russian airspace. One missile hit detaching 4 meters of the left wing and killing 2 passengers. The plane made an emergency landing on a frozen lake. On the 21st of June 1978, a PVO MiG-23M flown by pilot Captain V. Schkinder shot down two Iranian Boeing CH-47 Chinook helicopters that had trespassed into Soviet airspace, one helicopter being dispatched by two R-60 missiles and the other by cannon fire. Syria. Several Russian reports affirmed the AA-8 was widely used during the 1982 Lebanon War, and it was the main weapon used by the Syrians in air-to-air combat. Some Russian reports affirmed that the R-60 was the most successful air-to-air missile deployed by the Syrians in Lebanon over the Bekaa Valley in 1982, according to Israeli reports. The vast majority of air-to-air combat consisted of visual-range dogfights, and this has been also confirmed by Russian sources. The Russian reports also mentioned that several F-4S F-16 IIKFIRs were destroyed by R-60s among other aircraft. Israel claims some F-4S and KFIRs were lost in 1982, but lists SAMs as responsible for all Israeli aircraft losses. Angola, Cuba. On the 27th of September 1987, during Operation Modular, two Cuban MiG-23MLs intercept Captain Arthur Piercy's F-1CZ. Such was damaged by either AR-23 or an R-60 fired head-on by Major Alberto Le Rivas. The explosion destroyed the aircraft's drag chute and damaged the hydraulics. Piercy was able to recover two AFB Rundus, but the aircraft overshot the runway. The impact with the rough terrain caused Piercy's ejection seat to fire, but he failed to separate from the seat and suffered major spinal injuries. On the 7th of August 1988, a BAE-125 owned by the Botswana government was carrying the president of Botswana, Ketmasai, and his staff to a meeting in Luanda. An Angolan MiG-23 pilot fired two R-60s at the plane. One missile hit the No. 2 engine, causing it to fall off the aircraft. The second missile then hit the falling engine. A crew was able to make a successful emergency landing on a bush strip at Kutubia, India. An Indian Air Force MiG-21s used infrared homing R-60 to bring down the Pakistani naval brig Atlantique in 1999, which intruded over Indian airspace. Part of the wreckage was found in contested territory. This incident is widely known as the Atlantique incident. Operators. Current operators: Algeria, Armenia, Angola, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cuba, Georgia, India, Iran, Libya, Malaysia, North Korea, Peru, Poland, Russia, Slovakia, Serbia, Syria, Ukraine, Vietnam. Former operators: Czechoslovakia, passed on successor states. Czech Republic, East Germany, Finland was used on MiG-21 bis. Currently fitted on BAE Hawks. Germany, Hungary, Iraq as of Saddam's era. Soviet Union passed on successor states. Yugoslavia passed on successor states.